Hi, I'm Alice. Today I would talk about topic top 10 most dark and truly disturbing original fairy tales. The horribly disturbing fairy tales featured on this list involve torture, rape, cannibalism, infanticide, necrophilia, bestiality, cruel and unusual punishment, and incest, all of them taboo subjects in today's sterilized society. Many consider them unsuitable reading material for 21st century children, with their sunny dispositions and delicate, impressionable minds. Cringe-inducing though such subjects may be to many modern parents, they were often common themes in fairy tales, enjoyed by children and adults alike over the centuries. Many people try to find a moral lesson hidden behind the brutalities depicted in these disturbing fairy tales. Little Red Riding Hood is a metaphor for the dangers of puberty. Bluebeard is a symbol of sexual curiosity. But I'm not so interested in the hidden messages, the morals or the justifications. I am just a lover of bizarre little yarns, a fairy tale fanatic, and here today I would like to share with you some of the most disturbing tales that I have come across. 5. The Old Woman Who Was Skinned Alive. Features: old lady sex, death by being skinned alive. This one may be rather long, but believe me, it's a story worth reading. A king mistakenly believes that two hideous, smelly, deformed old women are actually the most delicate, beautiful and scrumptious of young tender maidens. As you might expect, he has never actually laid eyes on them, since, fortunately for them, they are hidden behind a large wall, but he becomes so passionately aroused after kissing one of the old woman's fingers through the keyhole in the gate, that he begs to be able to spend the night with her. She agrees to bed him, but only if he will take her in the dark, since, according to herself, she is far too modest to expose her nakedness to him. The king rushes home to wait in anticipation for night to fall and his love to come to him. In an attempt to make herself feel more youthful to the king's touch, the old woman takes all her loose, sagging skin and ties it behind her back with string. She then covers herself with a long shroud, and limps in the dark to the king's chambers. After he has finished the deed and she has fallen asleep, the king discovers the secret his tender maiden has hidden behind her back, and after lighting a candle he finds that his bedmate is actually a disgusting old hag. He freaks out and throws her out the window, as you do. Luckily the old woman has so much loose, sagging skin that she gets caught in the branches of a nearby tree and is left hanging there. Some fairies fly by and find the sight of the old woman so funny that they endow her with gifts of wondrous beauty, intelligence, and youth as a reward. She now has the body and face of a 15-year-old. The king looks out his bedroom window in the morning, discovers a stunningly beautiful girl sitting in his tree, and immediately takes her for his wife. The new queen, not wanting to reveal her beauty secret to her sister, tells the old hag that she has had herself skinned alive. The remaining old woman, presumably not wanting to be left out, takes herself quick smart to the nearest barber shop, and requests that she also be skinned alive. When the barber has removed her skin down to her navel, the old woman dies of blood loss and pain, letting out a big fart as she does so, and her sister and the king live happily ever after. The moral of the story? Something to do with the vanity of aging women, I guess, but regardless of the moral, that is one damn bizarre fairy tale. Giambattista, Basile, Pentamerone, Entertainment for the Young, 1634. 4. The Robber Bridegroom. Features: murder, dismemberment, cannibalism. Miller marries his only daughter to a man who seems to be very respectable and well off. The young woman visits her groom for supper, but finds his house empty. Empty, that is, save for a bird that keeps telling her to leave, and an old woman who tells her that her bridegroom is actually a murderous cannibal, who eats his young brides and pretty much any other maiden he can get his hands on. The old lady then quickly hides the young woman behind a barrel. From her hiding place, the bride-to-be watches as her bridegroom and a group of men return home drunk, dragging a beautiful young maiden with them, who is screaming and crying. Ignoring her pleas, they force the maiden to drink 3 different colored wines, after which her heart bursts in two. The group of men then strip her naked and begin to dismember her body, sprinkling her flesh with salt in preparation to cook and eat it. One of the unfortunate victim's fingers, adorned with a golden ring, rolls behind the barrel where the bride-to-be is hiding. She puts the severed digit in her pocket, then witnesses the entire macabre feast. When the men all fall into a drunken stupor, she creeps out over their prone bodies and runs all the way home. The bridegroom is exposed for the monster he is when the bride-to-be produces the dead girl's finger at their wedding. He and his gang of murderers are all swiftly executed. The Brothers Grimm, Children's and Household Tales 1812. 3. The Rose Elf. Features, murder, beheading, quite possibly incestuous domestic abuse, mild necrophilia, death by flowers. A young woman's lover is stabbed to death, beheaded, and buried by her wicked and possessive brother. After committing the murder, the brother is described as entering the beautiful, blooming girl's bedroom as she lies dreaming of her lover, and bending over her, laughing hideously as only a fiend can laugh as he does so. This could mean he just stands at the foot of her bed and laughs, but it could also represent something a lot more sinister. As the brother was burying the corpse, a dry leaf settled in his hair. A tiny elf, who witnessed the brutal act, hid under this leaf, which then settled on the girl's bed as her brother bent over her. The elf climbs into the girl's ear, tells her of her lover's murder, and informs her where the body lies. The girl wakes up, broken-hearted, and goes into the woods to dig up her lover's head. She shakes the earth out of his hair, kisses his cold, dead lips, and carries the severed head home with her. She puts the head in a large flower pot, covers it in earth, and plants a twig of jasmine over it. She weeps over the pot day and night, and the jasmine twig begins to grow beautiful flowers. Seeing his sister constantly kissing these flowers, the brother is furious, thinking she is going mad. The girl eventually dies a quiet death. The elf hides in her ear and whispers sweet stories about her lover to comfort the girl as she dies. The brother carries the flower pot into his bedroom, and as he sleeps, tiny spirits come out of the flowers and kill him with spears to avenge the dead lovers. The murdered man's skull is later discovered in the flower pot, and the evil deed is uncovered. Weird Hans Christian Andersen, Fairy Tales 1839. 9. 2. The Tale of the Grandmother. Features, cannibalism, disturbing sexual content, pedophilia. Thought you knew Little Red Riding Hood? In this version, the big bad wolf rushes to grandmother's house after a little girl tells him she is delivering some milk and bread to the old woman. The wolf devours grandmother, and after putting some of her flesh in the pantry and some of her blood into a bottle, he climbs into grandmother's bed. When the little girl arrives, the wolf calls from the bed, "Eat some of the meat in the pantry, my dear, and drink some of the wine in the bottle," and the girl proceeds to devour the grisly meal. As the girl eats, a little cat sings, "It is a slut that eats and drinks of her own grandmother's flesh and blood." The wolf then forces the little girl to burn all of her clothes, and climb into bed naked with him. After feeling his hairy body, his big shoulders and noticing his large teeth, she realizes it is not her grandmother she is in bed with at all, and tells the wolf she needs to go outside quickly to take a pee. He ties a bit of woolen yarn around her ankle so she cannot escape, but she ties the yarn around a tree and runs home naked. The wolf, growing impatient, calls out, "Are you taking a dump, child?" Not hearing any answer, he leaps out of bed and runs after the girl, but his plans are foiled when she makes it home before he catches her. No little girl for this big bad wolf tonight. 1. The Juniper Tree. Features: filicide, parrot, child murder, dismemberment, parrot, child cannibalism. Pretty horrific content all round. An evil woman hates her stepson so much that she hatches a plan to be rid of him, and to thereby secure her husband's inheritance for their young daughter alone. Feigning kindness to the little boy, his stepmother bids him reach into a chest to fetch an apple. As he reaches in, she slams the lid of the chest down on his neck, and his head is chopped off. She then props the child's body up in a chair and places the head back on his corpse, covering the wound with a handkerchief. His little sister Marlene arrives, and the mother tells the girl that if her big brother won't answer her, she should cuff him around the ears. Unable to get an answer from her big brother, Marlene smacks him in the face and his head falls off. Marlene becomes hysterical, believing she has killed her brother. Her mother comforts her, saying that they will hide the dead boy in a stew and no one will be any wiser. So they proceed to chop up the little boy's body, and put the pieces into a pot, skin, bones and all. Marlene cries so much during the horrific act that the stew does not need salt, for her tears have seasoned the meal beautifully. When the father returns home, his wife explains that the boy has gone on holiday to the countryside, and she dishes up the macabre feast for him. The father greedily devours his own child, proclaiming that this is the best food he has ever eaten. He noisily sucks the meat off the bones, which he then throws under the table. Marlene cries ceaselessly as she watches her father devour her brother. When the father has finished eating, the little girl gathers up her brother's bones from under the table and places them beneath the juniper tree where the boy's dead mother is buried. A beautiful bird flies out of the tree, and begins to fly around the countryside singing, "My mother killed me, my father ate me." This bird eventually kills the stepmother, and from the woman's burning remains the little boy appears, alive again. The father, brother and sister walk hand in hand into the house, and sit down at the table together to eat lunch. The end. Now that's one F up fairy tale! The Brothers Grimm, Children's and Household Tales 1812. 12.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to my channel.